Good morning to you all, both in the sanctuary and online. Welcome to the October 23rd Sunday service at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg on the unceded ancestral lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole Native Americans. My name is Pat Fling, and I'm a member of this church and also serve as a team leader for FAST, which stands for Faith in Action for Strength Together. Our minister, Reverend Ben Atherton Zeman, has the day off. On the Sundays when he's off, the worship committee is responsible for bringing you the service. If you haven't yet silenced your cell phone, please do so now. I'm excited to bring you today's fast worship service, The Courage to Be the Change You Want to See in the World, along with today's worship associate, John Motter.
Thanks, Pat. We are people of many beliefs, but we share a common faith that what we do in this world matters and that we are connected to one another and to our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your journey, you are welcome here. We have an announcement for today. Please join us after the service in Conway, so kind of weave your way back around to the back of the building. We'll be screening a documentary called Racially Charged, America's Misdemeanor Problem. It talks about the misdemeanor system in the US. It's an $80 billion a year industry and directly related to some of the work we're doing on FAST. It's 13 million people a year, most of them poor, people of color and abused by the system get wrapped up in the court system. So we also, for those of you at home, if you'd like to join by Zoom, we are screening it on Zoom as well, so you can watch via Zoom and participate in the discussion afterwards. If you are new, and Kelly's going to put the Zoom link in the text chat. Boy, I can't talk this morning. If you are new to UU St. Pete, or even relatively new, could you please give us a wave of your hand so we can welcome you? Oh, nice. Well, you're certainly welcome this morning. If you'd like to stand, as you're able, and introduce yourself, you're welcome to. I know this is terrifying for some people. Other people love the spotlight. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, we'd love to have you, but you're under no obligation to put yourself out there. So. Welcome. So those of you at home, it's the Doubters, and I know Rowan, and Rowan, Grayson, Henry, Jamie Lee, I'm Aaron. Okay. So Rowan, Grayson, Jamie Lee, Henry. Okay. I was trying to get the kids in because those are the most important ones. Anybody else? Great, well, welcome from Vancouver. Lisa and Dan. Now I know what Reverend Ben has to go through every week when he's trying to repeat back, because it's really hard to hear. Well, welcome. I came from Pacific Northwest. We moved here from there, so it's coming from a beautiful place. Anybody else? So we have, oh, I'm sorry. So Rich and Wilma from Asheville. I've got my oldest brothers in Hendersonville, so right a neighbor to you guys, and visiting Connie, so welcome. So Kelly Olson is live streaming today. Our greeters are, I think they changed on us, Patty Kane Wood, Susan Benor, Karen White, and repeat, I think that's it. Are Linda and Pete here? And then we have Ryan Smith on the piano today. Aaron had the day off. So Mass are now optional in the worship service. Let's take a moment to greet your neighbor, but remember everybody's got different levels of comfort around COVID and meeting and hugging, so just get consent before you hug or shake hands, and welcome everyone.
John, should I do this? Now let us take a moment. Okay, folks, please have a seat. Please have a seat. Now let us take a moment to center ourselves for worship. Our flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It's a symbol of hope, the sacred, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, the light of reason, and so much more. When John lights our chalice, I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found in the order of service and the text chat. If you like, you can choose to follow along with hand movements. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now please stand as you are willing and able, for Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Round. The lyrics are...
No.
Okay.
Please rise. Yes, you'll notice there are no hymn lyrics in your program, and there's no hymn number because it's not in the hymnal. But this is a great old song. Actually, it was originally Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me, I'm gonna keep my mind on Jesus. But as they frequently did in the civil rights era, they changed the sentiment into freedom. So, ain't gonna let nobody. How many of you know this song? Oh, good. We're going to do 3 verses. The first one is Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around. The second one is Ain't Gonna Let Injustice Turn Me Around. And the last one is Ain't Gonna Let No Hatred Turn Me Around. This is Dick McRobert here. Thank you, Dick, for helping us out. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on injustice. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let injustice turn. Gonna keep on walking. Gonna keep on walking. Keep on talking. Marching up the street. No hatred. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let turn me around. Keep on walking. Keep on talking. Marching up. Let's do nobody. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Oh, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
It's now time for all ages. Will the children please come up? Children? Any children today? Come on up. Okay, come on up. You can have a seat on the steps right here. This is your time. So we're going to be talking today about having the courage to change laws. We're going to be talking about changing laws so that they're fair for all people. So some laws that might help people are things like stopping at red lights, or crossing the street at a green light, or that all children must go to school. Can you think of a law that you might want to change to make the world more fair and a better place? Yes.
I forgot.
Okay. Can anybody think of a law that you might want to change to make the law a better place? Some laws are really good, like laws that help people, like building apartments for people who can't afford to pay their rent, or making sure that pets are taken care of. So some laws help people, like staying well-fed and housed. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is having the courage to make good laws. Did you think of a law?
Walking dogs.
Okay, taking care of pets. Well, thank you. It's now time to sing the children out. You can go.
So today, our view from the pew comes actually from a couple blocks over from the historic Bethel AME Church. I want to introduce Linnell Baker, who is part of FAST with the AME Church, and she will give her thoughts on affordable housing, but I'll let her do most of the introduction and tell you a little bit about herself. And I'll figure out how to start talking for the rest of the...
Good morning. I bring you greetings from historic Bethel AME Church, which is located 912 3rd Avenue North. And Reverend Kenneth Irby is my pastor. I serve there in many capacities, wear many hats. But in all, we gather together to give our God that we serve our praise. This morning, my task is pretty simple and deep within my heart, and perhaps deep within the hearts of some of you as well. I am going to speak briefly about affordable housing. And I think perhaps sometime during the course of our lives that we have been touched. We know somebody that has been affected by rent out of control. I had my first experience, shall I say, my opening eye experience upon selling my house. That was about a year ago. I felt empty nesters. It's just me and my shoes. I am a shoeaholic, so I have to have room for my shoes, which is one of the reasons why I purchased a house in the first place. But nonetheless, in 2018, I retired from the Department of Veterans Affairs after serving 30 long years of service in that capacity. So with that, now naturally, and some of you can attest to this as well, when you're retired, you transition into another mode of living. So I couldn't shop as much. But this process, okay, I sold my house. Now where you going? It was a 3-bedroom house. And do I expect to get a 3-bedroom condo or apartment? I thought it was such an easy, simple task. Yet I am here to say this morning, it was perhaps one of the most difficult things that I have ever experienced. Because in my search for a new home, I came to realize that there were all of these first, last, deposit, renter's insurance, everything that was attached, the list to all within Pinellas County, and I searched from Pinellas Point all the way as far as I could see because I really wanted to stay, close to my church, but there was nothing. And what was there was 1-bedrooms that was $1,700 to $2,400 per month. Now you do the math and you say, first, last, security. Thank God they pay for water, but you got your electric, you have the cable, you have all of these, you have moving fees. So it almost came up to a total annual salary just to move. So I began to think, and things were so difficult in finding places, I even considered going further north, like Clearwater, Largo, to see what was available there. Available and a little more affordable. However, it impacted me so much because I thought not of myself, but because I had recently, after 30 years with the Department of Veterans Affairs, you're pretty settled, you're good, so you think, But I was thinking about my fellow brothers and sisters who were not quite as fortunate or as blessed, shall I say, as I was in order to afford that. I looked and I kept hearing about all of these new buildings going up, affordable housing. So I passed by them, and a 1-bedroom was $2,400 a month. I became very much concerned. It didn't seem like there was any help, immediate help, for those that were in much need of assistance. So I joined FAST through Bethel. We have a very active justice ministry there. And I might mention that during the course of the 30 years that I worked at the Department of Veterans Affairs, my specialty was equal employment opportunity. My position was an investigator for discrimination. So of course, you know that I start looking at things in a different manner and say, where are the resources that are available? So I became actively involved in the FAST ministry that you heard Pat define earlier. And I became a part of the Affordable Housing Act because I realized that it is much needed, especially not just in St. Petersburg, but if you talk to anyone throughout perhaps the nation or the states, you will find similar situations. We don't get raises every day. It's not like the majority of us who have moved into that retirement mode that it's what, once a month now? Twice a month perhaps? A difficult transition from every 2 weeks. So your whole world is changing. I have been in this, I was fortunate enough to take advantage of a moving special. It didn't cost quite as much, but I was fortunate enough to take advantage of that. I have been there not quite a year, and it's gone up already. It's gone up $300. But I don't see $300 worth of improvement. I don't see $300 worth of resources. I don't see it. So through the efforts of FAST and other things that I can do, because I do know that some things are disparate in our own minds, but we all bleed red, independent of who we are and whose we are. Our concern should be for our brothers and sisters that are, as it's described in Bible, the least of these, because they will be with us always. But what can we do collectively? What is it that we can do in FAST initiatives and other social justice or ministries initiatives to help? I've heard the word help. That is one of the things that this church gathers to do, is to help our brothers and sisters. They will be with us always. It is a must that we as a people do our best, either through ministries such as FAST, to gather together, to raise our voices in concern. Because if not me, then who? Certainly we know somebody, perhaps in our families, especially our children, our young folk. You know, where are they getting the resources? Where are the resources coming? We hear, oh yes, they've dubbed $5,000 for that, but it is our concern. So thank you for listening, and move forward in your actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Linnell.
Thank you very much, Linnell. Our first reading comes from Loving a Vanishing World by Emily Johnston. She wrote this while vacationing on an island in the Straits of Juan de Fuca off the coast of British Columbia and Washington State. The beauty of the view was marred by her knowledge of the damage incurred due to mankind's actions. I want to make a difficult point, but one that I think is also clarifying. We cannot expect to feel hopeful, at least not very often, and having any particular hope is likely to end in heartbreak. We have entered already in some places into an era of chaos and great pain. And if we ask the universe to make us feel optimistic about that somehow, Even as others suffer far more than we do, we're asking for an illusion. But our gift and our task is far more powerful than sunny feelings, because we still have a chance to make the space for hope. And I'll add the courage to act in such a way that hope might exist for others who come after us. Now's the time for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Those of you on YouTube, please type your joys and sorrows into the text chat. Those here in the sanctuary, if you haven't, there are cards that you can fill out and pass forward pretty quickly at this point. And one of the greeters will grab it for you and bring it up, or you can just bring it up and hand it to me. And I didn't ask anybody to do stones. James? Great.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Cynthia's doing stones for us. We'll put a stone in for each person mentioned. So our first stone is really a very difficult one to share. Barbara Archibald called the church earlier this week, and Tom had a stroke, and a serious one, and was doing okay at the beginning of the week, but it took a turn for the worse midweek. He's up in New Jersey at a daughter's, and Barbara's with him, and the family's been called in, and they are there. They removed him. They removed him from life support yesterday. He's still with us, but his death is imminent. So please keep Barbara and the family in your thoughts. You know, from a personal standpoint, I love the Zoom coffee hours because that's where I really got to meet Tom and Barbara. I mean, I knew them from church, but you learn so much because you knew every Sunday they would be sitting in their chairs in the sunroom with the trees blowing behind, and they'd be giving each other, like teasing each other over who was going to talk first and what they were going to say. You know, you heard about the bat mitzvahs, you heard about family visits, you heard everything about them, and I will always treasure that, and I'll miss Tom.
Thank you, John. Many of you remember Sue Price, who was a member of our church and moved to West Virginia earlier this year. I've been in touch with her, and she's doing well and has reached out to volunteer at the only abortion clinic still in West Virginia as a clinic escort.
Thank you. And I made sure I had a service today where I would not cry, and then this one, for the visitors, I often do. So this next one is from Jerry and Sabina. It's a stone of joy. They are celebrating the 92nd birthday of Sabina's mom, Hannah-Laura von Alec, and we think the move from cold New Jersey to beautiful warm Florida, where the trees never turn black. What did I miss? I did not say that right. We think the move from cold New Jersey to beautiful warm Florida, where the trees never turn black or leafless. Okay, great, great, thank you.
We have a concern from Earl Waters. His brother, Fred, is experiencing fighting cancer, and to all those others who are also fighting cancer.
And we have a stone of joy from Pat Petralia, opening your church to welcome me and all the new members last week. It was so touching. Thanks to all of the congregation who helped with this ceremony.
And from Jane and Mason, a sorrow, their friend Neil, who's in hospice.
Oh. Is that it? Okay. We will place a final stone. Oh, may we bring to mind and hold close to our hearts all those that we've named who are facing health concerns. May we also continue working for universal health care in this nation so no one needs to worry about the financial burden in receiving needed health care. May all of those who are facing challenges find a comforting presence in the warmth of fellowship and community. We will place the final stone for those joys and concerns that remain in our hearts or possibly too tender to be spoken out loud. Let us take a moment of silence together. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. Let us rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be.
As John mentioned just a moment ago, the family of Tom Archibald with Barbara are gathered around him today. And Karen Cole got a text message from Barbara this morning, and she said that they were all singing to Tom. And they were singing Spirit of Life to him. So if we could all sing that to Tom as we're singing for all the other reasons that we love to sing this song this morning.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you so much, John and James. Our second reading, in his book, Against Civility, The Hidden Racism in Our Obsession with Civility, Alex Zamelin discusses the role of incivility in creating change rather than civility being the impetus. History shows us that successful leaders and movements name injustice and who is responsible for it without qualification or negotiation. It also shows that mobilizing allies who share our commitment to equality and freedom is infinitely more important than reaching across the aisle to try to make coalitions with people fundamentally hostile to our views. What's necessary is not following the rules of the game, but instead constantly questioning the rules, whether the rules are just, so that we can change the game, how the game is played. I'll read that one again. What's necessary is not following the rules of the game, but instead constantly questioning whether the rules are just, so that we can change how the game is played.
The first part of this song is by Bernice Johnson Reagan, the founder of Sweet Honey in the Rock, and also one of the 4 original freedom singers that traveled all over the South singing during the Civil Rights era. Thank you, Dick. Oh, could we? Thank you. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Cannot rest until it comes. Oh, well, I learned as a child there are two ways to see the world as it is and the way it could be. Some people say that's just not my problem. Some people do what must be done. Well, they see the hole in the fabric that must be sewn. They see the way blockaded and they roll back the stone. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. Yes, some people do what must be done. Well, they do what must be done. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. Now I've seen the toll taken, the tears that were shed. I've seen the journey started and the ripples spread. Some people say that's just not my problem. Some people do what must be done. Well, they see the hole in the fabric that must be sewn. They see the way blockaded and they roll back the stone. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. Yes, some people do what must be done. Well, they do what must be done. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. Yes, some people do what must be done. Well, they do what must be done. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done.
The Unitarian Universalist pastor Nancy Bowen has said, "The purpose of the church is to heal the consequences of lovelessness and injustice in the hearts and souls of our members, so they might heal the community and together heal the world." I'm involved as a team leader with John Mater and FAST for many reasons. Inspired by the social activism of the anti-war movement, the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, I dedicated my career to making the world a better place by leading health and social justice organizations. And I've witnessed firsthand the power of faith-based community organizing to make public policy changes that are needed and meaningful. And my involvement with FAST is one of the few places in my life in segregated St. Petersburg where I can interact with and have friends with a broad spectrum of people of color. There is a parable that tells the tale of two people walking by a river when they notice that babies are floating down the river. One person starts grabbing the babies out of the river while the other runs upstream. The first asks, "Where are you going? We have to save these babies." The other replies, "I'm going to see who's throwing the babies in the river and how to stop them." Just as it's important to address immediate needs like babies in the river, it's equally important to seek policy reform for long-term sustainable change. This is where the role of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s inescapable network of mutuality is relevant. For everyone to thrive, everyone must work towards a just and equitable future. yet everyone can have a unique role in this. By valuing and centering grassroots effort and community voices while calling for collective transformational change, we're both rescuing babies and keeping them out of the water. FAST identifies the issues to work on through our house meeting process, where everyday people from over 45 congregations come together. We ask, what struggles are you facing and your family and friends are facing now? FAST has worked on many social justice issues that are important to local people in the 20 years it's been in Pinellas County. This past year, we worked on 3 issues, and I'd like to share some of our progress on each of those issues. Criminal justice. In our house meetings, we began to hear about people being arrested for minor infractions like paperwork for insurance renewal not in the DMV computers, or the sale of a car that wasn't recorded correctly in the computer. And these resulted in suspension of driver's licenses. When you think of a suspended driver's license, you might think it's because a person has done something dangerous. Yet from FAST research, we found that in Pinellas County, there are over 100,000 suspended licenses, and 75% are from unpaid fees and fines. The good news is there's a solution to this problem. In Sarasota, driving on a suspended, expired, or no license, as well as an expired or no tag, are all included in their pre-arrest diversion program as long as the license wasn't originally suspended for unsafe driving, such as DUI. In Pinellas County, however, driving offenses are not included in our pre-arrest diversion. At our FAST action last year, the police chiefs of Clearwater and St. Pete agreed that they were open to tackling this problem. However, the sheriff is still dragging his feet. On Thursday, October 27th at 3 p.m. at Temple B'nai Israel, we're holding an event for our criminal justice work. We've invited all the police chiefs and city council members in the county to attend. At the event, we'll be highlighting the problem of arrests for non-dangerous offenses, and we'll hear from our sister county in Sarasota about how they've included these offenses in the pre-arrest diversion program. You're all invited. On water quality, in our house meetings last fall, we heard hundreds of stories in our county of health issues caused by red tide and poor water quality. One family shared that they had multiple family members with respiratory problems who ended up in the hospital because of red tide. Others shared about raw sewage that's regularly dumped in the waterways in their neighborhoods still. So we voted to work on these problems. In our research meetings, we learned that red tide was so severe that hospitalizations from respiratory problems were up 54%. We also learned that stormwater runoff, which goes into our storm drains and doesn't get treated before entering the waterways, is the single largest source of nitrogen in Tampa Bay, a nutrient that red tide loves to feed on. Too much nitrogen also kills seagrass, starving the wildlife that feed on it. And with 3 million people projected to move to Tampa Bay in the next 10 years, we can expect more development. More development means more pavement, and 55% of the rain that falls on pavement carries pollutants into our storm drains and right back into the bay. At our action last year, we asked for impact fees and got some commitments, but there's still work to be done. Whether it's impact fees or another solution, we know that without systems to filter stormwater, poor water quality will continue to literally choke our shores. As we continue to grapple with the impacts of COVID-19, our community is also facing a different kind of epidemic, the skyrocketing cost of housing. Raise your hand if you have a family member living with you or know people living with family members because they can't afford their own place. Raise your hand if you or someone you know had their rent increased by $100 or more this year alone. Raise your hand if you know someone who has moved out of the city or county because they can't afford to live here anymore. In order to afford the average one-bedroom apartment in our county, a single person would have to earn $66,000 per year. And a family trying to rent a three-bedroom place would need to earn $100,000 to afford it. Our teachers, firefighters, nursing assistants, grocery store workers, seniors on a fixed income, and many others who are vital to our community just can't afford to live here anymore. What's going to happen to our community when no one with less than a six-figure salary can afford to live here? Over the last few years, we made a lot of progress getting the county and the city of St. Pete to set aside nearly $100 million for affordable housing. And over the last 18 months, there have been over 1,000 units of housing for families making $59,000 a year, or under 80% of the average median income. That's over 1,000 more families who have a safe place to live because of our work. The city is currently in the process of discussing how to redevelop 87 acres of the historic gas plant district that are now where Tropicana Field stands. With this, we believe that we have a lifetime opportunity to get thousands of people affordable housing. But it's going to take a lot of work to make sure that affordable housing is the #1 priority for this massive section of downtown that's going to be redeveloped. I'd like to share with you one of the many of FAST's previous accomplishments. Several years ago, FAST got the city of St. Petersburg to pass an ordinance requiring construction contracts over $2 million to have 10% of their work hours go to disadvantaged workers, such as those who have criminal records or were on public assistance over the last year. At first, we were told that we couldn't pass the ordinance because contractors wouldn't bid for projects in our city and would refuse to work here. We were told that it wasn't possible because companies couldn't find workers who were hard to hire. But we continued to cast our vision of what is possible, and after 5 years, it was finally approved by the City Council in 2014. FAST members attended that City Council meeting where it was approved. Many members had never been to a City Council meeting before. Getting to see the results of 5 years of your hard work and feeling the excitement in the room when the ordinance passed taught FAST members an important lesson, that although the work can be hard and sometimes it takes more time than we want, justice can and will prevail if we continue to build people power in our community. We recently learned that since the ordinance was passed, over 79,000 work hours from city construction contracts have gone to disadvantaged workers. From the hours worked just last year alone, disadvantaged workers earned over $600,000. This is putting our tax money back into jobs in our own community and helping those who have been struggling to find a job get back on their feet. On top of that, both Gainesville and Tampa are now following suit and enacted disadvantaged worker ordinances in their own cities. So our work is not only changing lives in our own community, but setting an example for other cities across the state of just what a just, fair community should look like. We can achieve this goal if we all work together. FAST centers our work on the stories of those most impacted. So please get off the couch, get off the sidelines, and be the change you want to see in our community. It's too important for our future and future generations to be passive. Blessed be.
Dick, you want to? What did you say about get up off the sofa? Rise, please, as you are willing and able. How many of you know this great civil rights song, Woke Up This Morning? Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. You sing that 3 times, and then you sing hallelujah. Just pretend it's Easter. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And we'll do 3 or 4 verses. Hit it. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Walking and talking with my mind. Walking and talking with my mind. Oh, it was stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Marching and singing. Marching and singing with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Walking and singing with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Woke up this morning. Woke up this morning with my mind. Oh, it was day of freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stand on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind. Oh, it was day of freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
No, you need to be careful because he'll try and poach you for the choir if you're not. Now let us remember our connection to one another, and let us not forget our contribution to support the means to those connections. The link to give online is in the description in the box, in the chat box. You can also donate through the Vanco Faith Engagement mobile app or on our website under the Giving tab at uustpete.org, or by sending a check to the church office. We have benefited from the efforts and contributions of previous generations. Our spiritual ancestors planted the vision of this fellowship. They sowed with their physical labor and their financial labor the harvest we are now enjoying. We follow in their footsteps and plant trees, knowing that we might not be the ones who harvest their fruits or see their grandeur. May our offering be one of the many ways in which our hands and intentions of our heart manifest our love for one another and the world. In the sanctuary, our ushers will now pass the offering bowls. If you are a newcomer here, please refrain from making a donation. This service is our gift to you, and your presence is your gift to us. The offering now will be given and received. Thank you, Ryan. Some final thoughts before we extinguish the chalice. As Unitarian Universalists, we currently have 7 principles that guide us as we seek answers in our personal lives as well as within the community. The principles require action on our part so that we may live in a more just world. For example, the first principle calls us to acknowledge the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The 6th calls us toward the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And the 7th calls us to recognize the interdependent web of existence of which we are part. Living true to these principles means that we must do more than just provide charity to the victims of injustice. We must take action to change the systems that perpetuate injustice and hold those in power accountable. Through FAST, we can create fairer and more equal St. Petersburg and Pinellas County. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you heard something that challenges your thoughts, inspires you to make change, or just guides you on your spiritual journey. Now feel free to follow along with the hand gestures as, I'm reading Pat's part, feel free to follow on with the hand gestures as Pat extinguishes our chalice. The words to the UUSP's chalice extinguishing are in the order of service or in the chat text. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Please remain seated until the postlude is finished. Go in peace. Blessed be.